Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Hey folks, if you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, whether it's been recent or maybe several years or even months, and you're having a really tough time trying to figure things out, you're trying to deal with the condition, your doctor's telling you to take medications, you're hearing all kinds of things on the internet, on TikTok and other places about how to take a magic pill and it's going to make everything okay. Well, listen, folks, I understand that there are complications when it comes to type 2 diabetes. That's what I used to have to deal with myself until I figured out simple, practical things that I could do to lose weight, but not only lose weight, but to also beat type 2 diabetes because I did it for myself. You know, what if I told you that there is definitely a simple way to not only manage type 2 diabetes, but also to beat it? Now, imagine getting to that point where you finally feel like you're in control of your health. Folks, that's what we all want, is to be healthy and in control of our lives, especially our health. Beating prediabetes and even type 2 diabetes does not have to be complicated. Trust me. I hate complications. I hate things being so ridiculously out of reach that is so mind-boggling for people. That's why in today's episode, I'm going to share with you what I personally have experienced to be the simplest, most effective way to not only manage type 2 diabetes, but also how to possibly reverse it. It is possible to get your blood sugar under control. It's possible to lose weight and keep it off. It's possible to come off all medications. It's possible to eat foods that you actually love without having to give them up. It's possible to start feeling better and looking better. It's possible to enjoy a healthy lifestyle. Trust me, diabetes does not have to win. Diabetes is not the end because today is the first day of the rest of your life, my friend. So let me ask you a question. What are you going to do with today? So stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. You don't want to miss it. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Oscar Camejo, helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. Today, let's dive into this episode, the simplest way to lose weight and beat diabetes. But first of all, I want to thank all those who have been writing in and sharing your comments and even submitting your questions, whether through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, email, you name it. I really appreciate you guys for following and really supporting this lifestyle movement when it comes to beating type 2 diabetes. Well, if this is your first time tuning in to this podcast, let me share a little bit about my story and hopefully you can relate. I used to be 268 pounds and I was diagnosed with prediabetes back in 2018. And I ignored my doctor's orders to change my lifestyle, change my eating and get more exercise. And then fast forward to August 2020, I had a hospital scare. And it turns out that while I was in the hospital, I learned that I had developed full-blown type 2 diabetes. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, like, oh my gosh, man, this is what my doctor was telling me was going to happen. And I ignored it. I ignored that initial advice. And unfortunately, there I was in the hospital. And I had 5 days, I think it was 5 to 6 days of just being in the hospital, just contemplating the rest of my life. My family couldn't come into the hospital because I was doing the pandemic. And, once you go into the hospital, there are some people who just never made it out. And so a lot of things were on my mind. And I was thinking like, man, I need to make it out of this hospital. I need to make some changes when I do get out of this hospital. Because you know what? My life at the time, I was 46, I think. Yeah, 46 years old. And I was like, I'm too young to pass away, man. and I needed to make a change. So it was clear that I needed to lose weight. My size and lack of adequate sleep, the stress I was under, all kinds of things were negatively impacting my health. Yeah, I mean, you talk about cravings that led up to me gaining a whole bunch of weight. I had a bad habit of eating late at night almost every night. Man, I used to wake up in the middle of the night when I had to use the bathroom and I would immediately eat something, whether I was hungry or not. I would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich sometimes. I would eat a couple Pop-Tarts. I would drink some cereal. I would drink a whole bunch of fruit juice and sweet teas, lemonade, sports drinks. And this is in the middle of the night. My normal bedtime was 2 a.m. sometimes. And I would wake up around 6 a.m. And on average, I was getting about like 4 hours of sleep at night. Always hungry, always just craving something sweet. And you talk about carb overload, man, it was a lot. And I'm pretty sure some of you all can relate to what I was experiencing. Maybe you're dealing with that now, or a loved one that has been struggling with their weight, and maybe they were recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and they're just kind of stuck right now. If you can relate to this situation, or someone who can, I want you to keep listening to this episode. And let me say this for my newcomers. I'm not a physician. I don't have a degree in this. I simply just have my own personal life experiences. And I've been able to not only lose over 80 pounds in less than a year. This is when I finally decided to get my act together. It took me really zeroing in and being serious about my health in order to see and experience change. But I'm not one of those guys that's going to tell you, hey, it's so simple. You're going to lose weight in 30 days and you're going to keep it off. And, just by doing this magic, whatever. It doesn't work like that. So getting to the point of losing weight wasn't enough. It's keeping the weight off, which was very important to me. When I was first coming out of the hospital, I remember my doctor telling me that I was going to be on meds for the rest of my life. And I mean, he didn't offer me any solutions to eventually come off meds. And I'm assuming that because he's had so many years of experience with patients who just really didn't take their health serious enough to really make changes, maybe that was influencing, his response. And I get it. I mean, there are people who, they accept the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes and they're like, hey, maybe it was just my turn. I'm just going to go ahead and live my life and eat what I want to eat. And that's it. When I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, no one talked to me about reversing it. I didn't hear about even the possibility of sending, type 2 diabetes into remission. I never heard of that, but it wasn't until I started doing a deep dive and started researching and, trying certain things out as far as building a lifestyle of consistency that I learned, wow, yeah, you can reverse type 2 diabetes. I remember I was constantly still going to my doctor's appointments. I was taking the medications, taking the injections and the oral medications, even taking medication for high blood pressure, cholesterol, as well as diabetes medication. I was doing all of that. But I noticed as I started losing weight that my numbers started improving. I mean, across the board. And I'm like, okay, I'm not on a special diet. I'm not on some special weight loss pill. The only common denominator that I saw that I experienced for myself was because I was losing weight, my numbers were changing. Because yes, I was eating healthier and eating things that were not impacting my blood sugar, basically not raising my blood sugar. The more and more I started doing that, the more I started seeing, man, my numbers are going down. As my weight was going down, my numbers were improving. The more I started exercising, the more I started moving better and feeling better. And it just felt really good. And I remember asking myself, well, what is the big deal, no pun intended, when it comes to being overweight? Like, why does someone have to lose weight in order to start seeing improvement in their health? Now, you know what? I started learning that having excess body fat, and I need to be specific about that. Having excess body fat in and of itself is not healthy. You have what's called adipose tissue fat. That's not just the fat, that's the fat that you pinch when you squeeze your stomach. That's that subcutaneous fat. That's that fat that lies just underneath your skin. And a lot of us, we get caught up with, man, I want to lose this fat. But the most unhealthy fat is the fat around our organs, around our liver, around our heart even. And those fat cells are basically making it very difficult for many people, including myself at the time, to be healthy. You're talking about an increase in risk of heart attack, cardiovascular disease. I could talk a whole bunch about that and what I was dealing with. But folks, carrying excess body fat, specifically visceral fat, that's that fat around your organs, is not healthy. And yes, there are ways to target that fat. Now, unfortunately, it's not like I can say, okay, to target the fat around your heart, you have to specifically do this thing, this one exercise. It doesn't work like that. I'm talking about getting your body to a place where it starts burning fat for energy. If we constantly feed ourselves with food and we're not expelling or getting rid of that energy on a regular basis, we are going to experience an increase in body fat. Think of it like this. You may have heard the term that muscle weighs more than fat, but fat takes up more space than muscle. So I believe there should be a good balance. Fat in and of itself is not bad. It's when there's excess fat. I want you to look up this book. You can get it on audio, and you can get a hard copy. It's by a doctor named Dr. Idris, and it's called Saturated Facts, not saturated fat, but saturated facts, FACTS. And I'll put a link to it in the description. I want you to really dive into that book. And he really talks a lot about breaking the myths when it comes to weight loss and health and so forth, because a lot of people are caught up in these fast, quick weight loss programs, these diet programs, and a lot of people are hurting themselves long term. And he really does a deep dive into a lot of myths. He talks about fat. He talks about weight management. He talks about the why it's so important to target body fat. So I'm not going to go too much into that, but I want you to think of that book the next time you're going to go out and get a book and you want to learn. Again, I'll put a link to the book in my show notes. There's also a book called The Diabetes Code by Dr. Jason Fung. I mean, that book is awesome. So I want to take this time to really address, what does reversing type 2 diabetes mean? What does it mean to reverse prediabetes? And is that possible? Now, when it comes to reversing type 2 diabetes and even prediabetes, what does that actually mean? Well, here's a simple answer. Reversing type 2 diabetes and prediabetes involves achieving and maintaining blood sugar levels within a normal range without the need for medications. This is often accomplished through lifestyle changes, as I mentioned before, including a healthy diet, regular exercise, and weight management. Now, when I say reversing, I also mean remission. So you may hear me say sending type 2 diabetes into remission or reversing it. I'm using those interchangeably. Now, here's a disclaimer. I'm a guy who used to be where you are, where many of you are. Again, I'm not a physician. Let me say that again. I'm not offering you medical advice because I'm not a medical doctor. So please consult your doctor or your other healthcare professionals for personal guidance and monitoring your progress. So let me say this. Let me give this disclaimer. I'm a guy who used to be where you are. But keep in mind, I'm not a physician, as I mentioned earlier. I'm not offering medical advice. So please consult with your doctor and your other healthcare professionals for personalized guidance on monitoring your health and achieving changes. Because you know what? You don't want to make some drastic changes without consulting a professional. But I'm here to help inspire you while you're on your journey and going through the process of regaining your health. Okay? So reversing type 2 diabetes is a journey. It's not a short-term journey. It's not just something that you just do overnight and voila, everything's going to change. You know, how long or how short your journey will be is really up to you. Everybody's body is different and everybody's motivation is different. You know, I often get asked, well, Oscar, when did you actually reverse type 2 diabetes? How long did it take you to lose over 80 pounds? How are you even keeping it off? How long did it take? And so forth. I get bombarded with questions all the time. I mean, people come up to me in the gym and they're wondering like, man, you're really dedicated. I see you here every day. What's your story? You see, folks, no matter what route you take to improve your health is going to take some time. I remember when I first started going to the gym, I want to say this was June 2021. I did not know what I was doing going into the gym. I knew that I needed to lose weight. And the first thing that was on my mind was, hey, get into the gym, start eating better and so forth. But I didn't have a plan. I am so glad that despite the fact that June 2020, that first day that I went into the gym, June 2021, that first day I went into the gym, I did not give up and cave in. That workout was tough. My body was aching. I was sore. And I was experiencing what's called gym shame. You know, you go into the gym and you see all these people that look healthy and so forth. So you keep your head down and you're like, oh man, I don't want people to see me. My clothes are not fitting well. And you have all these thoughts going on in your head like, man, how did I get here? Meaning to this place of being unhealthy. And sometimes I see now, many years later, I see people now who come into the gym for the first time and I can see the look on their face. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking. Been there, done that. Don't give up. Don't cave in. Don't quit. And so unfortunately, some people, because they don't see progress right away with the weight loss, with the improvement of their health numbers and so forth, they want to quickly get the weight off. They want to do something to quickly improve their health. And unfortunately, you have some people who choose weight loss surgery. Now, when I say unfortunately, I'm not, forgive me, I'm not trying to shame anybody who decides to go the route of weight loss surgery. You know, I know someone who used to be over 300 and something pounds. And yeah, they went ahead and had the weight loss surgery. I think they had gastric bypass surgery, but then with that came certain restrictions, but it really didn't change their cravings. Yeah, they look slimmer. They look, smaller, but it was the mentality that didn't change. So I'm not going to offer you a quick way to lose weight. I'm not going to offer you this quick solution to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. I try to offer people practical advice to change their entire lifestyle and make healthy living just that, living healthy as a lifestyle. You have some people who go on highly restrictive diets, and I don't believe in dieting. And I've never gone on a diet. I just changed the way that I eat. You have people that go and say, okay, I'm going keto, I'm going paleo, I'm going vegan, I'm going to become a vegetarian, I'm going to become a carnivore. And they just say, I'm just going to eat protein, animal protein, and that's it. I'm not even going to eat vegetables. I'm just going to focus on meat products. Then you have those people who say, okay, I'm just going to do a low carb diet. I'm going to do low fat diet because fat is the enemy. I will not eat steak because it has fat in it. Then you have people who choose the Mediterranean diet now, or the Mediterranean lifestyle. Now, that's one that has received a lot of good feedback and results. And that's the one that I ascribe to for the most part, is eating a Mediterranean diet. I actually have an episode or two where I talk specifically about the Mediterranean lifestyle. And it's not a program that you're following. It's literally a lifestyle of how you eat and so forth. You have some people who decide, hey, I want to be flex and go flexitarian, where, I eat mostly vegetables and occasionally I'll eat some meats and so forth. So they go flexible, they're flexible, if you will, when it comes to their eating. But the thing that breaks my heart sometimes is when you find out that people are being taken advantage of. I know a good friend of mine, I think he and his wife were given this presentation by this guy, his personal trainer. And I think this guy wanted to charge them like $40,000 to help them to lose weight. Now, they are overweight. He's a lot more serious about his weight loss than his wife and so forth. But they're both wanting to lose weight. And so she had heard about this thing, and the guy was giving the presentation, and the first consultation was going to be like $1,000. And then they had to pay X amount of $1,000 a month or so forth. But basically $40,000. And to me, that makes me angry when I hear stories like that. Folks, if that's you and you've been told, hey, sign up for this program, it's only going to be this. You only have to give a deposit of $1,000 and XYZ. Don't do it. Trust me. I'm not against working with a personal trainer, but I didn't work with a personal trainer. A lot of the information that I learned by doing research online, comparing different approaches, and I was able to save $40,000, folks. So don't get so desperate that you're going to sign up for any of these programs. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Listen, you have to get to the point where you make up your mind that no matter what, you're going to be consistent. Because listen, you can pay the $40,000 and still not show up and do what's required. So why not do what's required, save for yourself to lose the weight, keep it off without spending all this money? Come on, I'm pretty sure you can do a lot more with $40,000 and give it to somebody who's promising you the world. Okay. So what approach is the best or the correct one to beat type 2 diabetes? Listen, there is not one way to beat type 2 diabetes. There's not just one way to lose weight. But I want you to know this, regardless of which approach you choose, beating diabetes requires consistency. Showing up to the gym one day a week and you're on the phone while you're working out and you're really not paying attention to your workout, that's really not going to challenge you. I go to the gym sometimes and I'm focusing on exercise first before diet for a reason. When I go to the gym, I see some people, they come in and they're really socializing. And they're literally for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, they're on their phones, just talking. They're casually walking on the treadmill, and I mean, really going slow, not because they're struggling, but it's really like social hour. And I'm like, okay, you're spending money to go to the gym. Why? Now, I'm not being judgmental. I'm just one of those guys that feels like, you know what? When you're putting in work, you need to focus and zero in and be so dialed in that you block out distractions. Now, I know y'all like to go and you feel motivated when you have other people there, but listen, there's something about working out by yourself and zeroing in on your workout. Now, there's certain exercises that are group exercises. Yes, I get it. But when it comes to consistency, Do not waste your time when you are working out, when you are exercising. Give it your best. Every time you show up, give it your best. Even if it's 15 minutes, make the full use of that time. Do the best you can during that time. So again, consistency is the key to breakthrough. Consistently showing up and putting in your best is going to help you to cross over to the other side. Because guess what? When you are feeling those aches and pains in your knees when you're on the treadmill and your mind is telling you to give up, but you still show up anyway. Trust me, that level of consistency that you build over time will help you to get through those tough times. Folks, I'm telling you, I used to wear knee braces when I used to work out. I had inflammation in my knees and ankles. My back used to hurt. Stretching and being flexible, man, that was only a dream at one point. It was just very, very tough. But I kept showing up. I said in my mind, you know what? Hey, I'm going to at least go to the gym 3 days a week. I carved out the time and I said, I'm going to show up no matter what it takes. The 3 days turned into 4 days. 4 days turned into 5 days and sometimes 6 days. And now working out and exercise is a part of my lifestyle. I love it. There's no question of whether or not I'm going to exercise. I'm going to exercise. I want to maintain good health. I'm 51 now and I'm in the best shape of my life, but it started with making up my mind to be consistent. Now, consistency refers to the ability to maintain a regular and steady pattern of behavior or performance over time. Again, it's not just something that you just do overnight. It's not a flash in the pan. Now, in the context of health, developing consistency involves establishing and sticking to positive habits. To build consistency in health, you have to start with realistic goals and creating realistic goals, creating a schedule, and gradually incorporating small changes. Focus on the sustainable habits like regular exercise, a balanced nutrition, and of course, sufficient sleep. You have to track your progress. You have to stay accountable to yourself and to others. If you do go with a personal trainer, you need to be consistent with being accountable. You have to be consistent with seeking support that is positive support. All of this will help you to enhance your consistency and maintain a healthy lifestyle. I often talk about a sculptor. And when that sculptor is creating a sculpture, he or she has to chisel away to get results. And hitting the hammer once or twice and stopping, that's not going to achieve results for that sculptor. You as a sculptor of your physical body, of your mental health, of your overall health, you have to chisel away often. You have to chisel away consistently. But here's the problem. There are certain things that prevent some people from being consistent, like a lack of motivation. Some people dealing with depression and anxiety. Some people have unrealistic expectations, time constraints, stress, being stressed out with the kids, the spouse, life, work, a whole bunch of stuff going on. Poor planning. And this is big, a fear of failure. That's really big. And I think that's why some people just give up, cave in, and quit sometimes, is because they fear failure. Maybe this is your third time or fourth time trying to get things together when it comes to your health. I've been there, done that. But you know what? It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you actually get up. Some people get so distracted by what's going on on social media and what's going on in life in general that they're not dialed in and they're not focused on doing whatever it takes to change. But you know what? Change requires sacrifice. Consistency requires sacrifice. You're going to have to identify those things that are causing you to waste time, like watching excess TV, and watching TV till, way into the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Same thing with the endless social media scrolling, gaming if you're a gamer. All these things are time wasters where you can really dedicate that time, that hour and a half to 2 to 3 hours to really dialing into whether it's educating yourself about your health or going out and exercising, learning a new recipe and so forth. Folks, I want you to make better use of your time, period. Coming out of the hospital, I had to make the same decision with my own life. What was causing me to not go work out? It wasn't just, I wasn't lazy. I wasn't a lazy person. I wasn't like a couch potato, but there were certain things that I just had to examine. I had to take inventory of my life to see, okay, why am I not getting enough sleep? Oh, okay, well, you're watching TV, from 9 p.m. to 1 o'clock in the morning, seeing, watching these series because they're so good, So I had to make some sacrifices. Doing the boring, monotonous things that won't produce immediate results is important. But you know what? I rather that you do the monotonous things that will produce results over time than you to do all these things that are so exciting, catching up with your friends and watching the latest, Netflix movie and talking all about that and whatnot and not getting any results. Now, I'm not saying cut out television completely. I just want you to examine those things that are causing you to waste time. I guarantee you that you can find 30 minutes a day in your life for 5 days where you can dedicate it specifically to your health, specifically to your physical health by way of exercise. And do you know 30 minutes a day for 5 days is 150 minutes of exercise. And that's what's recommended. If you want to lose weight, dedicate 30 minutes a day of dedicate 30 minutes of dedicated exercise where, you know what, I'm going to dial in and work out at least 30 minutes a day. I don't care if you're walking or cycling or swimming. I'm pretty sure you can carve out 30 minutes a day. All right. I don't want you to make giving in to distractions a guarantee. Instead, I want you to be consistent. Make being consistent the only option. Again, stop making giving into distractions a guarantee. Instead, make being consistent the only option. Some people say, well, maybe, I'll try to work out today. I'll see what it looks like. Folks, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. If you have maybe in your vocabulary, maybe is the enemy of consistency. Well, maybe I'll go to the gym. Well, I don't know. I'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll cook dinner or I'll pick something up, from the fast food place. One cheat meal is not going to hurt me on the way home. I get it. Maybe I'll read the material that my doctor gave me or my diabetes educator gave me. I'll see, but, I don't want to miss the award ceremony that's coming on television. I don't want to miss the game that's coming on. I have to watch my game. I have to watch this. I have to do this or do that. Folks, I get it. Been there, done that. I transformed my life and so can you. Now, how did I do it? There's a couple things that I did. And remember, I love keeping things simple. I had to learn about sugar. I had to learn about processed carbs and their effects on the body. I had to learn about why it was important to stop drinking sugary drinks. I used to drink soda all the time, like I mentioned before. Whether it was sports drinks as a sugary drink, whether it's sweet tea, lemonade, I used to do all of that. I had to get to the point where I weaned myself off of sugary foods and high starchy foods. I know some people say, yeah, you shouldn't eliminate. Well, yeah, I get it. But I believe when it comes to sugary foods, you can eliminate certain things and replace it with more healthier options, which, leads me into another point. I believe is important as you wean yourself off of sugary foods and high starch foods and high carb foods that you start incorporating eating more green vegetables and vegetables, period. But definitely green, if you think of like stoplight, green means go. To me, that's that first thing I should do is incorporate more green veggies. And I can go into more details about that. But in general, yes, start incorporating more green leafy vegetables like kale. You can do spinach. There's a bunch of other things. And I also want you to start eating by what I call the stoplight method. That's something green, something yellow, and something red. When it comes to your vegetables, eat something green, yellow, red. Uh, Food, specifically vegetables, are packed with all kinds of nutrients, all kinds of essential vitamins, and so forth naturally. So when you start eating a variety of foods, specifically veggies, you're only going to help your body heal itself. Now, remember, we were talking about losing weight. Well, one of the ways to lose weight is to eat more vegetables. Vegetables are low in carbs, if you will, the carbs that actually cause you to lose weight, gain weight and so forth. So you want to incorporate more healthy vegetables in your diet and eat by what's called the stoplight method. Remember, red or green, yellow, red. Same thing with fruit. You can eat more fruit, incorporate more fruit in your diet. Well, Oscar, heard that, fruit is full of sugar and so forth. Listen, the eating a banana is not going to have the same effect as eating a donut. It's not going to impact your blood sugar like eating a donut will. Eating a banana will give you potassium, which your body needs. Eating a banana is healthier because of the natural fiber and the natural sugars that you can use to give you the energy that you need to not only prevent cramps, but to help you to incorporate more nutrients, healthy nutrients in your body. So again, I'd rather eat more vegetables and fruit than to eat more sugary foods and high starch food. You understand what I'm saying? Fruit and vegetables also carry with them natural fiber, and fiber helps to blunt or reduce the impact of sugar on our blood sugar levels. So I can go into a lot more details, but look that up for yourself. You'll find out and learn for yourself. Let's move on. Now, here's another thing. I talked about eating late at night. You definitely want to stop eating late at night. When I say late at night, I'm talking about, if you can stop eating late at night, let's say after 9 p.m., start weaning yourself off of eating so late at night, because a lot of times we eat at night. We eat after 9 p.m., after 10 p.m., and we stuff ourselves, and then we're not expelling that energy. We're not exercising right after that. We may sit down and watch television, and then here you are throughout the night, you have all this food on your stomach. So the earlier you can have your last meal of the day, the better, because that's going to help your body to burn fat. It's going to help your body to get the nutrients that it needs out of the food. It's going to give you the energy stores that you need so that you can be prepared for the next day. I don't know about you, but when I used to eat late at night, fried foods and high starchy foods and so forth, I would feel terrible and get up in the middle of the night sometimes and just have a stomach ache, and in the morning, just feel terrible, but the more I stopped eating late at night, the better it was for my body. All right, let's move on. Now, the next thing to help to transform my life is exercise. I spent a lot of time already talking to you about getting regular exercise. So just remember, regular exercise is good for the body. And of course, getting proper sleep is another step to improving your health, because you know what? Your body needs rest. Your body needs to go through the proper sleep cycles so that it can start healing itself, so it can start repairing and building and doing what it needs to do to help you to improve your health. So Folks, there's so many things that I can share with you when it comes to beating diabetes, reversing type 2 diabetes. But I believe the simplest way is through consistency and being consistent about, again, learning how about sugar and processed carbs and so forth. Learning and being consistent about eliminating or at least reducing your consumption of sugary drinks, weaning yourself off of sugary foods and being consistent with it is very important. Eating more vegetables and fruit on a consistent basis is going to help you. You know, folks, I have an episode that I recorded a while ago is on cheat meals. And that's a really good episode to listen to because, you know, for those of you who are like, man, I don't want to give up foods that I like. Now, listen, when it comes to a cheat meal, you know, there's some practical things that I think you can learn. Because for me, I haven't given up the foods that I love to eat. There's certain foods that I no longer eat because I just realized they just were not healthy for my body. I've changed the way how I eat. I'm more of a mindful eater now. I don't eat fried foods anymore because fried foods, frankly, for me, have no health benefits. How food is prepared is very important. So I stay away from fried foods. I don't stay away from chicken. I just stay away from fried chicken because it's not good for me. I don't eat French fries anymore because they have no benefit. Okay, you get my point. So if you want to get more in depth into the topic of reversing type 2 diabetes, even pre-diabetes, I want you to go back and also look up an episode I did with the guest that I had on my podcast. Her name is Jill Weisenberger. It was called Reversing Prediabetes Through Simple Lifestyle Changes with Jill Weisenberger. I'll put a link to it in the description as well. You know, Jill, she's a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and when I interviewed her on my podcast, man, it was very, very eye-opening. So the resource that's on my website that you can get for free, it's a free weight loss planner. It's an easy to use, personalized way to help you jumpstart your journey towards better health. So just go on my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com to get more information. And of course, again, it's yours for free. There's a bunch of books that I can recommend. You know, I mentioned a couple before. So definitely check out the links in the bio to get some more information on the books that I recommend. Now, folks, listen, again, there's nothing special about this lifestyle of reversing type 2 diabetes, keeping the weight off, and being overall healthy. If you want to improve your health, you want to improve your sleep, you want to improve your skin, you want to improve your breathing, you want to improve your physical mobility, and so forth. Trust me, it can be done. I'm a guy that used to be 268 pounds. If you go on my website, you'll see my before and after pictures so you can see for yourself that it can be done. It wasn't a magic potion that I took. It wasn't some magic solution. No, it was consistency over time of really dialing in my weight loss commitment. So, folks, I love you all. And as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.